This is part 2 of our 2-point perspective city drawing project. So what you're going to need today, same thing as last time, a pencil, some kind of eraser, either the back of your pencil or a small eraser, and either a ruler or a straight edge. So for this part, we are going to focus on the windows and the doors, and then the lines in the sidewalk. So to start our windows, the easiest way to do this is to do the tops of the windows and the bottom of the windows all at one time. So when you make windows, or you see a window in a building, in most cases they're in a nice straight line because the floor is around the same size. So what you want to do is take your ruler, line it up with your vanishing point. We are going to make the windows on this face of the building and this face of the building. Come down as far as you want, so this is going to be the gap between the top of your windows and the top of your building. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a row of windows on this building and this building at the same time. So I'm going to come over from the edge of my building a little bit, start to draw my line, and stop before I hit the edge of that line, and then do the same thing down here. Now this is where things get a little bit difficult. You're going to move your ruler down, making sure that this stays on the vanishing point. Our lines need to go to that vanishing point to get the feeling of things being larger and things being smaller. So this is going to be the bottom of our window. Try to line it up about the same distance you did up here. Draw a line, stop at about the same spot here. Same thing on this side. So now you're going to take your ruler and you're going to add vertical lines. Again, it's really easy if you line your ruler up so you can see your center line to make sure these are parallel. One line, moving over a little bit, two lines. I do a smaller line. This will be between the two windows. You're just going to work your way down, creating windows. Now, if you can, make them about the same size, but they can vary. After that, take your eraser, and you're going to erase the lines that you don't need. So between these windows, these smaller lines you can erase. If you erase a little bit of your window, just go back through, draw it back in. So now I have 1, 2, 3, 4 windows in perspective. You're going to do the same thing down here. Now as you get further away, they should be really small, so don't worry too much about erasing between these windows. You just want to make it feel like they're there. Again, I'm making sure these lines are still pretty parallel with the center line. So now that building has some windows. So we're going to do it one more time on the other side. Again, it's the top of my windows. If you want to, you can try to make a dot eyeball where this is, so you can have kind of the windows in the same row. It doesn't need to be perfect. Top of my windows. Top of my windows. I'm still lined up at my vanishing point. I'm going to rotate down. Hold my ruler. So now I have the top and the bottom of my windows. Now I'm just going to start doing vertical lines parallel with the center line. If you're a little bit off, it's okay. We are learning. Now this side of my building is a little bit smaller. So if you feel like you're running out of space, you can always redraw that top line. Then take my eraser. If you notice, I'm not doing a lot of measuring. I'm not trying to make things perfect. Because right now I can learn the steps, and then later I can do this project again and go more for perfection and measuring and making sure things are perfectly measured out. So again, I'm making vertical lines, making sure they're parallel with my center line or the line that's next to it. Have another row of windows. So now we're going to talk about doors. Doors are a lot like windows. They're a little bit easier because you only need to do the top of the door to the vanishing point. The rest are just vertical lines. So we're going to do a door on both these buildings. Now again, it's good to do the doors at the same time because it keeps the perspective in. If you do a door here that's about this tall, and you do another door in perspective and over here, but it's really tall, it's not going to feel like it's in the same world or in the same perspective. So I'm lining my lining my ruler up at my vanishing point. Now again, this is a problem that I've seen before. If you can't see your line, you can always move your ruler up. Don't feel like you have to cover up what you drew down here and kind of guesstimate. Move your ruler. It has two sides. Utilize both sides. So I'm going to move it up. This is going to be the top of my door. Draw a line. Draw a smaller line here. Take my ruler. Draw two vertical lines. One here. One here, and maybe one down the center. This can be a double door. So I have two doors there, same thing on the other side. Making sure it's parallel. This will be a single door. Now I have a door. Now you can do the same thing on the opposite side. So now I have some doors and some windows. Now one thing I want to show you real quick is if you have windows in the center right here, when you do lines closer to the center, they're going to have less of an angle because that's the way perspective works. So don't feel like because you don't have a very harsh angle that you're not doing it correctly. Just make sure you're lined up with this vanishing point. So if I do a row of windows on this building near the middle, you can see that diagonal is not the same as this one. It's because it's closer to the horizon line. As you get closer to where your horizon line was, your lines will get a little bit straighter and less diagonal. But as you will see, it is the same perspective as the other windows. So that row of windows is still in perspective, even though it's not as a harsh diagonal as the top. Now you can continue to add more windows wherever you feel. You can fill your buildings up with windows. We're going to talk about sidewalks now. So sidewalks, like when we did these lines here to that vanishing point, we're going to do a lot of lines that go to the opposite side. So all of our diagonal lines that are on our sidewalk need to go to this vanishing point on the other side. So I'm making lines on this side, it needs to go to that side. Now the easiest way to do this is to do both sides of the road at once. So I'm going to line this up with the vanishing point. I'm going to start at the bottom of my buildings because that's usually where a sidewalk line would be. Draw a line. Draw a line. Now what I'm going to do, slide my ruler up, making sure I'm still on my vanishing point. Draw another line. Just going to slowly work your way up, drawing lines. They should be getting closer together as they get further away. Again, I'm making sure I'm on that vanishing point. And these last few you can just kind of sketch in because they're really far away. So now you have nice sidewalks in perspective. Then you're going to do the same thing on the other side. Start by lining up at the bottom of your buildings. Draw a line. Stop when you hit your road, pick up your pencil, go to the other side. I'm not going over my roads. I'm just picking my pencil up and going to the other side to save myself some work later. Now I have the benefit of being able to see through my ruler. If you don't, remember you can use both sides of the ruler or both sides of the paper. Whatever you're using as a straight edge, don't feel like you have to cover up your work. You're just going to work your way down until you have a sidewalk with a bunch of lines. Make sure you're still on that vanishing point. Remember, as you get further away, they should get closer together. Make sure your ruler is not shifting. So lastly, in this, you have this empty space on the sides. If you just want to do some tops of some trees, make it feel like there's some kind of forest back there. You don't need to get really detailed. This stuff's really far away. Now you just need to go through and add other details, add other windows, and you have a 2-point perspective city.